I think rugby fans, Robbie, and even men and women that play the sport, I think people sometimes forget that there's actually different avenues than just going in and playing professional rugby. And I suppose, bearing that in mind, what advice would you give to, I suppose, younger kids and even like coming into kind of teenage stage that are kind of contemplating getting into the sport but maybe aren't quite there with, you know, making it as a professional rugby player, like, you know, and will take your career path, I suppose, in reffing. And what advice would you give, I suppose, to younger people thinking and contemplating the reffing route?
Yeah, so definitely, like, there's a lot of routes. There could be coaching, reffing, but what I would say is give it a go, and most of all, just give it a chance. I think when we all start, if it's riding a bike, if it's golf, I'm still struggling with golf 10 years later. But you'll probably not be the greatest when you start, so just give it a chance and just see how you like it. Just give it a bit of time, and I suppose that would lead into the next point would be like be coachable. Like I said, the development, coaching, the assessors that'll come out to help you. They're all there to develop your skills and tell you what you can improve on. And so just what I would say is just listen to them. Exactly, use them and ring them up. There's always going to be people there to help you out if you need to. And there'll be people in your clubs, I'm sure, it's not just Leinster, that'll always be happy to help. And I suppose the next big one will be, and it was a big thing for me, is be okay with your mistakes, learn to live with them. Coming from playing, you're kind of taught that everything needs to be perfect. You have your scenarios, you have your set pieces, everything needs to be perfect, and if it isn't, then it's almost unacceptable. And it was hard coming to refereeing where you are going to make mistakes, and that's just a fact, and it's a fact of life that you're going to make mistakes all the time, and you need to just learn to deal with them. And it's a life skill that you can take from refereeing. It's learning to deal with your mistakes, park them and move it on. The great thing about rugby is that the game has moved on from that mistake, whether you like it or not, whether you're with the game or not, the game has just moved on straight away. And I suppose the final one, most importantly, is make sure you enjoy it. Like we're all volunteers here, coaches, players, referees. Make sure you enjoy the game, or else what are you doing it for? Of course, being a ref, it's a huge responsibility. Player safety is your number one job and it's paramount, but that doesn't mean that you can't smile. Don't build a wall around your personality. Don't be afraid to break a smile every now and then. Players, I think, appreciate when they realise you're not actually a robot and you can have a laugh. So yeah, just make sure you enjoy the game. So they're probably the main things I would say to anyone who would, any girl or guy that would like to pick it up.
So many aspects, Robbie, of the game get, you know, highlighted and get quite a lot of publicity, and I suppose sometimes the refereeing side of things can kind of be on the sideline, excuse the fun. But I suppose, what do you think it needs to give it that notoriety, and I suppose to give it the publicity that it deserves, and to kind of make people aware that this is a career pathway that you could go down? Yeah,
I think quite often, like you might see in the media, if a referee gets mentioned, it's probably about mistakes or the game being ruined.
Something controversial.
Exactly, yeah. But what you don't really hear too much about is like the good things that can come out of it. Like in particular, what I love about it is like the fitness. You have to be fitter than the players sometimes. The mental kind of aspect of it, you need to be sharp and switched on the whole time. The challenge of it, the pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and in particular after COVID, I think people have learned to get very comfortable in their own four walls, and if they're looking to push themselves a bit further, challenge themselves, push themselves out of their comfort zone, it might be a career for them to go down, and that might be an aspect that they could point out. But also just the opportunities that you can get out of it, whether it's refereeing locally, you could be refereeing interprovincially. For example, I'm on the IPAS panel, which is being assessed around the 4 provinces. And if you haven't played rugby, or if you haven't played AIL, and never got the chance to maybe go around the country with rugby, then that's a pathway for you. But also you could go abroad. Like there's a lot of opportunities with refereeing that sometimes just doesn't get the publicity.
People aren't necessarily aware that they're there.
Exactly, yeah. Like you see, like the Sevens World Series, they're going to Hong Kong, Vegas. As I said,
they're having a great time.
The Vegas thing always just stuck with me. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Hong Kong. It's just. There's a lot of opportunities that just doesn't get.
And I think even in the last couple of years, it's really like with the Sevens thing as well, and them actually qualifying for the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think it's really started to bring it along. Like, you know, it's kind of getting rugby as a whole more publicity from more of a I'm not going to say a lower level, but you don't actually have to be on the full Irish team to be involved in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Sevens qualifying for the Olympics was a huge achievement and massive for Irish rugby.
And the locality.
Exactly, yeah. Hugo, I was lucky enough to be in with the Irish Sevens prior to the Olympics and refereeing them. It's just, and refereeing the women's Sevens as well, and that was just ridiculous standard. Both teams, just ridiculous skill levels. Your lungs are on fire, and I just left there thinking that was just so cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, refereeing Hugo, didn't get to give him the red card that I wanted to, but no, it was just really cool, and I think that them qualifying for the Olympics was just a massive achievement, and huge for Irish rugby.
Thank you, Robbie, for doing this evening. I suppose giving people at home watching an insight into the behind the scenes and what it takes, I suppose, coming up through the ranks as an aspiring referee. So thank you very much, and the best of luck with the rest of the season.
No problem. Thanks a million.